Shalom, and welcome to Psychology of the Parsha for Parshat Vayigash. In this Parsha, we finally reached that critical point where Yosef finally reveals his true identity to his brothers. After being convinced of the integrity of their repentance and how strongly their remorse was over this fact that they sold him, and how much they cared and how selfless they were for their young brother Binyamin. Finally, we reach the verse, chapter 45, where it says, V'lo yachol Yosef lihitapek. Yosef can no longer contain himself. L'chol hanitzavim alav, for all those standing there, all those present. And Vayikra, he called out, Hotziu kol ish me'alai. Please take all men out. There should be no one left in the room. And it concludes the verse by telling us that there was no one present when Yosef revealed his identity to his brothers. Let's think about it for a moment. What happened here? Why did he do this? Well, Rashi tells us that the reason why he did it is because he could not bear the fact that his brothers would stand there in shame in front of the Egyptians. And he wanted to spare them that embarrassment. Now, if we really think about it, at the end of the day, I think we can imagine that almost everybody knew the details of what transpired. That they were the culprits, that it was the past, that it happened, because there had to be a storyline that was going around. It became the talk of the town. Yosef's brothers suddenly showed up. This mysterious guy that showed up in Egypt and became the ruler, obviously, people were curious all the time to know who he was, especially now with his brothers suddenly surfacing. Yet, Yosef wanted to save them that moment. The fact that people would talk about it was inevitable and out of his control. But this was potentially in his control. Now, if you really think about it, what did Yosef do? You think about this act, and you take into the account that here he was, anonymous. They had no idea who he was. Here he was facing his 11 brothers. To them, he is this tyrant, this ridiculous, impossible ruler that's driving them insane. And Yehuda is this close to war. And Yosef knows this. True, his entire security detail, which I don't know how many soldiers and how many expert guards it consisted of, but regardless of the number, were no match to Yehuda, to Shimon and Levi, and so on. But still, certain line of defense it was. And here Yosef put himself in absolute danger. For those several moments when the room was entirely cleared, until he revealed his identity, the brothers could have seized that moment not knowing what's about to unfold and pounce on him, and he would be 1 against 11, 1 against 10. It didn't work for him well last time around. It wouldn't work for him now. And they could have, God forbid, killed him on the spot. And yet, he was ready to take that danger, to put himself in harm's way, just to spare them the embarrassment, just to save them from shame. Think about it. Yosef was ready to forgive them. In the following verses, he tells them clearly, don't worry. Atem al te'atzvu, don't be upset. This was destiny. This was meant to happen. This was all orchestrated by Hashem. Yes, it seems like you were the impetus, but that's not why I'm here. Forgiving is one thing. Being concerned about the other's well-being, welfare, and about their embarrassment and their pride, now that's something very special. That is something amazing. That's over the top. I think sometimes when we say, okay, I forgive, what we really mean is, okay, I'm not going to harbor any more hatred towards you. I'm going to let it go. But I'm going to become your best friend? Are we going to be buddies? Not so fast. That's going to take time to rebuild a relationship. For me to really care positively about you. Now that is something that needs to be developed. That's a typical person. Yosef, before he even told them that he forgives them, before he even managed to calm them and tell them how much he cares about them, he already did an act of selflessness, misirut nefesh, for their, not just for their safety, not for something that's absolutely crucial, but for their kavod, for their honor, to spare them those few moments of embarrassment. I think it's important for us to think of what would I do moment. What do I mean by that? It's very easy to speak about Yosef HaTzadik, easy to speak about the big tzaddikim who have certainly shown us how much one has to care for another, how much one has to be forgiving, how much one has to be not just forgiving reluctantly, but willingly, and feel close to that person, and not as if, but literally like nothing happened. But still, we need to sometimes think, I'm not Yosef HaTzadik. I'm just an ordinary person. You and I, and I'm sure you're not insulted for me saying it, we're not Yosef. We're not Moshe. We're not a tzaddikim. We're just ordinary Jews, good Jews, but ordinary Jews. I need to think, what would I do in this moment? In other words, every moment I have to think, okay, I'm not Yosef, but how do I apply this? Most of us are very, very hard on letting go of the past. I'm talking about myself. It's very difficult to really, really forgive somebody that has wronged you. Yes, we can say the words, it's all from Hashem, and it's not really him, it's not really she who did it to me, it happened because Hashem wanted me to happen. That's good. But really, really, do I feel that way? Can I train myself to really think that way, and hopefully, inevitably, also feel that way? Now that's something that we need to think about. What would I do? The moment, what would I do moment, not what would Yosef HaTzadik do. We have to be influenced by the inspiration of Yosef, but apply it to our lives in our little ways, in our little lives. And hopefully, by doing so, I think certainly the world will be a much better place. Shalom.